All right. Hello and welcome. Brett here with clickmill.co on our evangelism training series here. And in this video, I want to address one of my favorite questions. And it's how do you start an evangelistic conversation? How do you begin sharing the gospel? And boy, I grew up in the church and I've heard it all. And now I work with churches. I train evangelism. I train in marketing, communication, a lot of different things centering around spreading the gospel. And so looking back, boy, some of the stuff that I have heard is so funny. And it's so incredibly wrong. It shocks me that it's even taught. And it's stuff that you've got in your head. I guarantee it. And so I hope I can be just frank with you. I hope I can be myself. And at this point, my heart is to help you share the gospel, help you to reach more people more effectively, and just do better. We're all just trying to do better. Okay, so one of these is just bring it up, right? That's what you do. And I remember when I was in youth group, I literally, what we do is it's like, listen, you're standing in line and you're at the bank or something, and they're like, you just look, there's a guy right there. It's a great time. Nothing's happening. Just ask him the question. Do you know where you're going to go when you die? Don't do that. That is not the way you bring it up. Don't ever do that. Can you imagine being at a bank? That was actually, they said a bank. Can you imagine being at a bank and some guy's like, hey, I know we're in line at the bank and everything, but do you know where you're going to go when you die? That's when I just leave the bank. This guy, he's a crazy person. Anywhere, it doesn't matter. Like, that's not a question that we bring up randomly. That's awkward. Now, why? Why is that awkward? Why is bringing up the gospel presentation at weird, maybe even inopportune times? Why is that uncomfortable? Well, it's uncomfortable because we talk about more and more intimate things as the trust in a relationship goes up. That's how we work. You don't share, all of the hard things you've gone through in your past with some guy you met on the corner 5 seconds ago. You don't do that. Like me, I love going to the hot tub. Anybody who talks to me, they know I love going to the hot tub. I go and I just relax for a little bit. And the people get in there. They get in there and it's like, oh, how are you? And it's like, well, I'm doing good. And then you do, well, what do you do? What do you do? And you do the surface level conversation. And you cannot just throw in religion randomly for no reason. That's awkward. And people will, as always with communication issues, they'll shut down. So we can't just bring this up. We don't have the trust. We don't have the rapport, is what you call it in sales. Now, I'm not saying gospel presentation is sales, but rapport is trust. It's like, this person is someone I'm willing to hear from. If it feels awkward, if it feels like, this doesn't feel right, I feel like maybe they'll be frustrated, I feel uncomfortable, then don't do it. That's the wrong time, and your gut is telling you. Let's get into how a conversation actually starts. And I will just tell you some personal stories because I love sharing the gospel message, and I do my best to be as good as I possibly can at it. And so we'll go to this. So I go to the hot tub, fairly frequently. That's just kind of my pastime. If I've got a little bit of time by myself, I'll go and I'll sit down and I'll relax. Now, what's hilarious is I go to get away from people. And of course, there's always somebody there. And I'm always like, all right, God, fine. I guess I'm talking to these people today. But anyway, how does it start? Oh, hey, how's it going? You care if I sit down? Yeah, sure thing. Cool. And you're sitting there and it's like, you can't not talk to the person. You have to talk to them or you're rude, And so it's like, oh, well, wait, where are you from? And, oh, well, I'm visiting from, I'm in live in Hawaii. So it's like, well, I'm visiting a friend from California or something. So, oh, cool. I've been there once. I saw the redwoods or whatever. Oh yeah, the redwood forest. And you start talking and that's where it starts. Tell me about your life. Tell me about, oh, that's so interesting. You're from California. What's that like? Tell me about that. Oh, is that difficult? And you're just asking lots of questions, getting to know that person. And that is the evangelistic, that's the opener right there. You're just listening to them. You're just caring about them. You're just talking to them about their life. And when the day comes, and this is not every conversation, again, evangelism is a way of communicating. It doesn't mean you share the gospel in every single situation. It's not how it works. You're in a conversation and you're talking to this person and you've talked to 15 people. You talk to the lady at the cash register and you're like, oh, hey, how are you? And they're like, oh, my day is great. And you're like, well, hey, great to hear it. Right. But one day you walk in and the person's like, well, I'm not doing good. Or they start opening up, this person in the hot tub, they start opening up and they say, well, Yeah, well, I mean, I'm actually visiting because, my mom's in the hospital. Oh, wow. Well, I'm so sorry to hear. And that's where we have to really start using these communication skills we're talking about in the other videos. Please check out the training where we go over all different strategies for giving a really beautiful and comfortable gospel message. But, my mother's in the hospital. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so sorry to hear. I don't want to impose. I don't want to, pry or anything, but do you mind if I ask what's going on? Every single time they'll say yes. They'll say yes every time, as long as you approach it with respect and you don't demand to know and we don't give advice and we don't do this. Just say, I don't want to impose, but I'd love to hear. And here's the thing. If someone begins sharing with you and they begin sharing, even if they say, and I've had this happen 100 times, even if they say, no, it's not, hey, oh, how's your day? Oh, it's going good. How's yours? That's rough day. Right there, you have a potential for a gospel presentation and evangelistic conversation. Why? Because nobody listens to other people. We live in a world right now. I'm sitting in an office by myself. I am alone. You are sitting presumably on a computer alone. We are separated in relationships and marriage rates are declining. People are not having kids. They're alone and they have nobody to listen to the difficulties that they are going through in life, which is just terribly sad. And they come to the hot tub, they shop at the store, and they say, actually, it's a rough day. What are they telling you? They're telling you, when I go home, there's nobody who's going to listen to this. You're the person that's going to listen. And you know what we do? We don't listen. We go, you should accept Jesus. And that is the biggest mistake right there. That moves into criticism. And if you want to hear about criticism and unintentionally criticizing, it's like, oh my gosh, this person's hurting. They need Jesus. And you just run in there. You blew it. That's when we accidentally criticize. What do? We love them. We just listen because we actually care about them and they're having a hard time. And how do we do that? We do active listening. You just say, wow, tell me more. I'd love to hear more about that if you want to share. Of course, they want to share. They just told you they're having a bad day and they will open it up immediately, almost every time, if you can just do that. So this is how we open a gospel presentation, an evangelistic conversation. We just be normal. We just engage with people. And when you share the gospel is when the trust has increased enough that they actually want to hear it. And we're going to talk more about that in other videos. There's something called the law of reciprocity, and we'll talk more about that and how to know when that person's ready to hear. But to that end, it should be super comfortable. You just talk to them like a normal person. Not everybody's going to need to hear the gospel in that set. It's not going to fit. It's going to feel wrong. Go with it, right? Your gut and the Holy Spirit are going to be communicating to you. And if it's like, if you're scared because you're scared of being rejected, that's a different thing. But if it's like, this feels awkward. I feel like they're going to be offended. I feel like it's not a good time to bring it up. Don't bring it up. How do we open it? We're just talking to people every day in any interaction, any situation. We're just talking to people and we're just getting to know them. We're listening. We're just asking questions. Don't talk about you. Most of the times when I'm evangelizing, they don't even know I'm a Christian. I haven't told them anything about myself. Why? Because I'm just listening. I'm just listening to their heart. And I'm just the person who's listening. That they don't care who I am. They just need to be heard. And that is how you open it up. And the more you listen, the more you're communicating you care about them, the more they're going to share. And you increase the likelihood that you open up the problem or the wound or the pain that Christ is going to be the only solution for. Okay, so that is how we open a gospel presentation and evangelistic conversation. Hopefully this is beneficial for you. If it is, let me know in the comments. Let me know what else you have, what other questions you have on sharing the gospel. And please subscribe. Go over to our playlist on evangelizing and watch them all, because if you like this, you're going to love those. Love you guys. Keep it up. God bless.